The Vault. A twisted maze of rooms filled with vile monsters and precious treasures, where the goal is to complete one of various tasks. Secure the Grade of Goods and get out before your time runs out. Not again. How's it going, everyone? My name is Matt, and today we're going to be talking about Vault Hunters, more specifically the origin of the vaults. And of course, small disclaimer, this isn't official lore. This is just a theory that I crafted together using tidbits of pieces of information that you find both in the vanilla game and from Minecraft, from Vault Hunters, the mod pack in general. Just bear that in mind. However, we'll just get right into things. So first and foremost, I'm not talking about Borderlands. I understand the Vault Hunter stereotype. That's not what I mean. It's not how this works. It's okay. What I'm talking about is Vault Hunters. A custom, very in-depth mod pack that turns Minecraft into a very surreal RPG experience that I 100% recommend. It's a fantastic mod pack. It's really cool. There's going to be a link to the website in the description, as well as the Curseforge link to get the mod pack for yourself. I highly recommend it. It's super cool. Anyway, back to on point. So, the real question then becomes, what is Vault Hunters? For the people who don't know, this is just a general description that I snagged off of the vaulthunters.gg, the official website for this mod pack. And their description, as minor as it goes, just as a little hook line, or hook, sinker, whatever, you get it, is that it's Minecraft like never before. You build an amazing base, you level up, you spend skill points to grow stronger and conquer vaults and complete the artifact puzzle, with the final line asking, do you have what it takes? Because this is most certainly a challenge. All throughout the world in Minecraft, you find these things called vault rocks that you put onto an altar and use them as keystones to get access to the vault portal. What that does is that activates the portal, and as a result, you and perchance even some friends that you want to go in with, you dive into the vault, you explore, you loot, you try and get everything that you need to, within a time limit. Starting out, this is generally a 25-minute timer, but of course, it wouldn't be a challenge if there weren't the good and bad that adds with it. But in that time, as long as you can either beat the boss or escape the vault, you get to keep all the loot you went in with. It's pretty cool. Along the way, you can level up, get stronger, get yourself different abilities, and that sort of thing. Now, I'm going to be referencing terms in this, meaning the 1 to 2 here, is that there have been 2 main iterations of the Vault Hunters mod pack, and they're more specifically followed by a Twitch SMP, where a bunch of famous YouTubers such as Captain Sparkles, Pizza Hut, and many others, and the creator is Skull85, play through the mod pack. So there's been a synonymous understanding that there was the original Vault Hunters SMP and then the Season 2 and everything that happens onwards. So I will be referencing many of the things about this mod pack. I'll be referencing that encompasses most of the two, most of its entirety. However, this is primarily focused on prior to Season 2 because of the introduction of, well, the 4 gods, Valara the Benevolent, Tenos the Omniscient, Wendar the Timekeeper, and Idona the Malevolence. These 4 vault gods were introduced in the Season 2 update for Vault Hunters that introduced an interesting concept. It was a matter of, through the twisting maze of the vaults, you would find altars to these various gods that each one is different. Valara, you give up health. Wendar, you give up time. Tenos, you give up experience. Idona, you actually slay monsters. They're all intricate, and they all give something. They can either all give or take away something if you please them enough, if you gain favor with some of them, or lose favor as you go through the vault cycle. So they are an interesting entity, and the primary basis for a lot of the lore that is being theorized with Vault Hunters, because it's interesting when some form of deity is added to a content because it adds some iteration of a story, which is what most of this is based on anyway. However, what we're going to be talking about primarily today is the vault and where they come from. So, ordinarily, as most people would think with mod packs, you have your Minecraft world, represented by the nice little cube on the side, and you have the vault dimension, which is represented by the gate that allows you through. And most people think, it's a mod pack. You start the world, then you get access to the stuff, and then you go on. However, I have the idea that judging by some of the details that have been represented within the mod pack, that isn't necessarily the case. Instead, I'm being led to believe, and I hope that I might be able to convince you all by the end of this, that in fact the vault dimension came first, and from it, the world that you play in. And I've got two main points for this argument. The first and foremost is that you, the player yourselves, travel through realities or planes of existence, sort of like a planeswalker from Magic the Gathering, which I know sounds outrageous, but you're gonna have to bear with me. The other one is the fact that the recipes in the game, even vanilla core recipes, have been altered to implement materials that you can only get access to in vaults. So starting with the first point, because I know most of you are gonna be like, but Matt, it's a game! And I understand that. I do. However, as many of you would know from playing Minecraft, when you beat the end, you are introduced to a poem. This poem gets very specific, it gets very in-depth and abstract, and it's very, very curious. A lot of people have talked about theories and things with this, because no one really knows where this poem came from. It's just sort of crazy. However, two unique details that come up, or a few unique lines that come up within this poem, really stick out to me. The first and foremost is the two entities talking, and it says, "It is reading our thoughts as though they were on a screen, and yet they play the game." Now, these aren't directly corresponding, so one doesn't answer the other. However, this does inference that whoever is talking to us, or talking about us, understands that we are not playing Steve or whoever, or Alex or whoever our skin is. We are us in the real world playing a game. Two other lines I picked out here is, sometimes the player dreamed it was a miner on the surface of a world that was flat and infinite. The sun was a square of white, the days were short, there was much to do, and death was a temporary convenience. Sometimes the player dreamed it watched words on a screen. Now, this is clear. The first paragraph clearly talking about a Minecraft world, because, I mean, it's a flat world, it's infinite, the sun's a square, death is a temporary inconvenience, is one of the bigger is one of the higher points there, because let's be honest, if you're not playing hardcore, dying is just losing your stuff. You're not dead. And then, of course, sometimes the player dreamed it watched words on a screen. That represents us supposedly dreaming of beating the game. The two entities seem to go forward with the discussion talking about how we exist in a dream of our reality, and it is through our actions that we, can better the world and that sort of thing. It's supposed to be abstractly, like, uplifting, saying that you have the power to make change and that sort of thing. But in the process of this, it does sort of prove that the Minecraft itself, or whatever entities exist after the end, understand that we, the player, are playing Minecraft as a game, and that the worlds we play can change. So you can have your single-player world, and then you can have your creative world, or a super flat world, and then you can have some worlds with your friends that you play on in multiplayer. And getting to multiplayer, that includes all of the servers that exist all over the world. From Hypixel and Windcraft to any of the small ones just between friends. So to understand that we as a person move from world to world to world isn't too far flung if we see it from the game's viewpoint, which is us, the player, being a dreamer going to different realities. Now, this leads to a very interesting point, because if we take that aspect, then the world that we get to with the vault is very different from any other world that we have been introduced to ordinarily. Even including other mod packs or other modifications or changes to the game, like Windcraft and that sort of thing. In this, we find ourselves restricted. Mods are locked. We have no way of getting access to them, like we do in most mod packs. Recipes, vanilla recipes, are locked. We don't get access to some potions. We don't get access to shields. And even in creative mode, the place where us as players are supposed to feel most powerful, because we can make all the changes we want, we get access to the creative menu and all of the abilities to quickly progress. Even in Vault Hunters, we don't get everything. It's still locked, even if the progression is infinitely quicker. So this plays a very big point to that concept. And so when we find these recipes and these items and the researches for the mods that are restricted and locked behind this vault dimension, it's strange to assume that we, as players, don't get access to them. We have to do something to get access to them. But why? That is the real question. So why is it that we, as players, have to escape the vaults with these items, with these gems, these crafting ingredients, these materials? And that's the real question. That's what all of this really comes down to. And to me, who enjoys the lore sense of the thing, it means that whatever was caused to make these two worlds together connected them in one way. It's my belief that whatever entity created the vaults used it as a key piece to create the world. I believe that the vault was created first for the full idea of creating the world. But why? What purpose would some sort of deity, in talking in a lore sense here, we're going now more into the story about world creation, what reasoning would an entity have to create the world after having created this vault? And personally, I think it's because they looked at us, the players, who somehow existed within multiple worlds at once. We dreamed, we moved into realities that changed on a daily basis, and they saw potential. I believe that the vaults were originally created as a test to find those who were worthy of maybe replacing, assisting, monitoring, doing something in a way to take over for the original god. And that's how the four gods that we mentioned in the beginning, Tenos, Wendar, Valara, and Idona, came to be. Because if you will remember, I mentioned that from Season 1, these four gods didn't exist. It wasn't until the first season, quote-unquote, of Vault Hunters was completed, and the second began, until the second season began, that these four gods existed. Up until this point, there had been no mention of gods, there had been no mention of influencing vaults outside of survival type items and that sort of thing. There was nothing there. So something upon the completion of the first vault created these four. So it was for this reason that the original creator of the vaults, whether it be a deity, an individual, what have you, sought to create the world that we lived in. It was to find people, players, who were strong enough to overcome their test to become an influence of the vaults, such as Valara, Idona, Wendar, and Tenos. I think that the original vaults, and even the current ones in Season 2, are tests for the player to see if they are worthy of, in lack of a better word, divinity. And I only say that because as the players grow, as they run through vaults, as they challenge themselves and they progress further and further and further, they level up, they get access to more skills, they almost become like that. They almost become so strong that it is impossible to die. So that and then in of itself begs the question as to why. However, that's a theory for another time. For now, to sum it up, I really do believe the vaults were created by an entity that existed prior to the 4 gods that were introduced in Season 2 for the whole idea of for the whole idea of finding players to take his place, or to, on some scale, find divinity. However, that is it for my theory. Thank you, everyone who stuck around this far. I know some of it sounded kind of crazy, but, you know, if it was cool, if you watched this far, you should hit a like, maybe subscribe. It's a cool thing. Or, you know, maybe you thought I was an idiot, and this is ridiculous, and I'm dumb. So instead, you should go to the comment section and tell me what I did wrong, or what I missed, because obviously that's going to be the case. Once again, I'm going to say this is a disclaimer. This is obviously not official lore. I'm promoting theories because this is a fun thing to do, and I hope other people have an interest of it as well. So, thanks everyone so much for watching, and I will catch you next time. Bye-bye!